too.
We look good. Alright, there's a quick video on having sex on the first date. Now, apparently this is a big topic and it's really important, apparently. So, I think I've covered this quite a lot in many other videos, but let's just try and tie it all in one big bow. To start with, like if you're a woman and you're dating out there, the dominant strategy for you as a woman is to always avoid having sex on the first date. Always avoid it, because you want to get to know the guy. You want to. It depends on what type of girl you are too. Like, are you looking for a long-term relationship? We know that a lot of women, especially in the West, aren't looking for long-term relationships until they are too old that nobody wants them. Next thing you know, they're looking to get married. But while they're 18 to 21 and there's all these guys that want to marry them and lock them into a relationship, they start talking about having their freedom and they want to explore themselves. And so a lot of in the West, the gatekeepers to one night stands are in fact the women, not the men. But let's just say you are the type of that the girl is actually looking for a long-term relationship. She's looking for a good guy, and this is something that we just totally glaze over when there's men trying to get one night stands out there, is that we don't take into account that women are the gatekeepers of these one night stands now in the West, because they don't want to settle down. They want their freedom. He's too controlling. And if we happen to be talking, we just assume that we're talking about the good girls that want a serious relationship and are looking for a boyfriend. Let's just say we are talking about that type of girl today. That girl, the dominant strategy for her would be to wait, get to know the guy a little bit more, and I got a bit of a cough. The factor that does matter is that the girl, if there wouldn't be damage to the vagina, and I would say that this is one of the factors that people just glaze over as well. If she's looking for a serious relationship, if the girl is looking for a serious relationship, she's looking for a boyfriend, and there was no damage that could ever be done to the vagina, and the lies that we've been told about the vagina stretching back and closing back up and tightening, and which is lies. Once the vagina has been broken by a large penis, it is broken forever. It's all lies. All the blogs, everything out there is a lie, and that is to protect the women who are out there that have reached their 30s and they're looking for a serious relationship. But I get it. I understand why, because they're in a difficult situation. If there was to be no damage to the vagina, and they could just remain virgins and just reset the virginity every single first date, one strategy would be to maybe just sleep with the guy on the first date, lock him in, get to know him, see how committed he is to her, see if he's the type of guy that's worth like marrying, and then over time find the right guy, lock in a long-term relationship, boom, you settle down, everything's cool. But what happens is, if the girl takes that strategy and she has a lot of one night stands, there'll be damage not only to the vagina, but her ability to enjoy sex moving forward will be greatly diminished. She won't feel it as much, and if she happens to come across a large penis, what will happen is that vagina won't feel other penises. That's where the classic "is it in yet" comes from, and that has nothing to do with the size of the man's penis. It's the size of the woman's vagina, which is in fact how it really works. Gynecologists and every other scammer out there is doctors. Okay, I'm disagreeing with doctors, yes, so therefore I'm a conspiracy theorist. But the doctors will tell you that it bounces back. But men that are out there meeting women will come across a lot of women that have large body counts. They just can't feel the sides. They can't orgasm. They have a lot of trouble building rapport with men. They have a lot of trouble pair bonding with men, so they find themselves running down uh, so many men and never really getting into a serious relationship. And if you're the type of guy that's looking for love, then they're the type of women that you need to avoid, because if you fall for her, she's less likely to fall for you, and then you end up getting heartbroken, which is what is happening the majority of the time in the West. Is that men are having their hearts broken by women. That's what's mainly happening in the West right now, and a lot of the girls that are like under 25. Keep in mind, in China, if you're 25 and over, you're not married, you're deemed to be a leftover woman, and that's arguably the most intelligent, wealthiest, the safest. People argue about the political situation in China, but they tick every other box. And they're dominating the West. You can't walk out at 1 a.m. in the morning in San Francisco. New York, you walk through the park at lunchtime, you might still get mugged in broad daylight, but that's not going to happen in countries where, I think it all ties into the whole geopolitical thing as well. But anyway, as a man, as a woman, let's just finish this off. She needs to avoid having one night stands. She needs to somehow, and you have to understand it from their point of view, she has to somehow figure out which guy is committed to her without sleeping with him. Try to keep him around in a short period of time so that he wants to be with her. And he also has to be a nice, they have to click. There has to be a spark there. She has to somehow read the man's mind, whether he's even interested in a relationship, and whether he's the type of guy who's gonna sleep with her for a couple of weeks or even a couple of months, maybe 6 months or even a year, and then just kind of find something else. And that is a risky proposition for women. Women have a difficult situation. They're in a difficult situation because they can't see the future. They can't read your mind. And every time that they get in bed with a man, their vagina's getting damaged. And so therefore, I totally understand why there's so much propaganda out there protecting women's damaged vaginas and older women. It makes perfect sense why they do it. And as a man, you should understand that. And so let's get to the point of view of the man. What is your dominant strategy? Well, your dominant strategy is actually the opposite. Because think about it from this point of view. You can't read her mind, the same situation. You can't from the same sort of point of view, you can't read her mind. You don't know where she's been. You don't know her past. You can ask her, but that's not going to work. She's not going to tell you. You're never going to really know. Is she committed to you? And so what costs you is, let's just say you meet that 21-year-old girl that's just she's at that right age where in most parts of the world she's arguably the most desirable, and when they get married around that age, and more likely to pair bond with a guy, and she's just ticks all of the boxes of like girlfriend wife material. Are you going to date that girl and spend thousands of dollars chasing her for 20 dates and then find out that you've been friend zoned? She's wasted all of your time, the opportunity cost of it, not to mention the money. And then also at the end of it, we don't have the vagina, the penis damage. We have the heart damage. And so there's so many men dating these like younger girls that they're attracted to, and they can see a future with her. Oh, she's so fun, she's so happy, but she's out there exploring herself, and she wants her freedom. And what happens is so many men with those girls that just want to kind of exploit Western society when they're in their prime age. And that's really what it is. It's exploitation of the society. And I kind of And it's also damages them as well. But if they're going to do that, we shouldn't care. Let them damage themselves. They can pay the consequences later on. I really don't care. I'm not going to engage in that conversation because I'm not here to protect them. It's more the men that I would say that need the protecting, is that you will end up getting heartbroken if you invest too much in a girl that is not really committed to you. And that's kind of, it's a double-edged sword, because women are not going to want to do that early because they want to somehow read your mind, and you need to somehow lock her in and try to build a rapport with her and build an emotional connection. So the dominant strategy for you is to try to sleep with her on the first date, and the dominant strategy for her is to try and not sleep with you on the first date. And so what we're in this difficult situation where both of our dominant strategies are at loggerheads, and this is one of the most fundamental aspects of why dating and one-night stands is so difficult. And then who gets to win? Who gets to choose whether it's a one-night stand, or not one-night stand, sorry, you get to sleep with each other on the first date, or you wait multiple dates until sleeping with each other? Well, on average, it is the person with the higher mate value that has the most leverage in that situation. Example, you are an average woman and you have a date with Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber has more leverage because he is of higher mate value than the woman. So therefore, there's a very good chance that Justin Bieber or a rapper or some famous guy is going to get to sleep with the girl faster, immediately, on the first night, the first meeting even. But if you're a guy in Western society and you're crushed by the political system, and you meet a girl that's actually on your level, even not even a girl that's above you, just a girl that's on your level, there's a good chance that you might get suckered into spending thousands of dollars on multiple dates that go nowhere, and caring for her and solving her life problems, and then eventually getting friend zoned because she ends up banging Justin Bieber on the first date after you've been trying to sleep with her for 3 months. And so it's whoever has the most leverage. That's the way I kind of see this. It's we're both at kind of loggerheads, and the ideal situation for a man would be that you are of or perceived higher value than her, and that doesn't mean money, that it's not always looks or height or any other thing. It's just sometimes you get lucky with a girl that doesn't perceive herself to be a 10 when she's really a 2, which is common in Miami, as I've heard. And you find yourself with a 9 or a 10 that perceives herself as a 5, and you're lucky to be a 6, and she thinks that she's punching up to get with you, and you're extremely happy to be with her, and you just happen to have a little bit more leverage, so you get to sleep with her on the first date. She is willing to risk it to be with you, and then you guys are both happy because you slept with her on the first date, which means that you know now that, and you know that the vagina wasn't broken, she hasn't got a large body count. You're ecstatic to be with her. You're ecstatic that she was just open to sleeping with you on the first date, and you're like, yes, I think I might have locked her in. This is the one. And she is like, oh, I gave it away on the first date, I hope he comes back. But then, because you're keen to be with her, you make it very clear by seeing her the next day, texting her every day, calling her every day, speaking to her, and lining up more and more dates and building a proper relationship, because you don't want to lose her either. And then you guys go into a proper relationship. Now, unfortunately, in the West, we have too many 2s that think they're 10s. We haven't too many women that are either women or not women. They can't tell if they're women or not, or men. and they have like a few confusions there, and they still perceive themselves as 10s. Um, uh, but a lot of the men out there, our dream girl is that one that is a high 8, 9, 10, that perceives herself as a 4 or a 5, and it's not that she's naive, it's just that she's a good girl, and she's rare. That's the one we want to find, because we want to be able to try to lock her in fast without expending all of our resources, time, and get heartbroken by dating her for 3 months. If we can sleep with her on the first date, then we're ahead of the game. We've got a bit more leverage, and if we want to be with her, then we stay with her. And if she's the type of girl that wants a relationship and isn't exploring herself and guarding relationships in that prime time, then everyone can win. And I would say that that comes down to finding a woman that hasn't run the gauntlet, isn't exploring herself, is in her prime, perceives herself to be of lower mate value than she actually is, wants a relationship with you, and is willing to sleep with you on the first date to try to build a relationship with you early. And that woman is hard to find. So therefore, you need to learn cold approach, learn game from me, and get so much volume that you can actually find her.